Welcome to this episode of Alive and Thriving. Today, I'm going to be introducing you to a friend of mine. She is phenomenal. Her name is Annelise Worn, and we are going to be chatting about well-being as a business strategy, as well as her 7-system framework for successful business. Now, before we do that, I just really need to share. I don't know if you're watching this, you can see that I'm busting out of my seat. As this goes to air, it is the beginning of September, which means that we are just a few days away from our very first Becoming Limitless live workshop. Now, there is 5 dates throughout September that you can choose to come to Becoming Limitless. It's all the same workshop each time, so it's not all 5. You choose one. Now, Becoming Limitless is a really special event, really practical, really hands-on workshop where I am going to be helping you deep dive into finding a limiting belief that is not serving you in your business right now, that maybe you are consciously aware of already. Maybe you already know that you hold this belief and you can see how it's showing up, but maybe you're just experiencing that you're stuck, or you're experiencing the same cycles of self-sabotage, or you keep hitting these glass ceilings and consciously you want to be bringing something into your business, but in the real world, in the way that it's manifesting, it's not in alignment. And this usually means, especially when you've already got the strategy and you're implementing all the things and nothing is still working, that usually means that the block is internal. It's time to turn inward. The more you grow, the more you expand, the more your business is going to expand. And that is just fact. Okay, that is just energy. So what we are going to be doing during these 90-minute workshops is we are going to be diving into my holistic and unique process that I use to accelerate our ability to release limiting beliefs. So first step is we are going to be having a look at what are your stories. We're going to be bringing some safety to those stories. And then we're going to be diving into root cause and where this lives in your body. Okay, really important. We're not just working with the brain. We are bringing the body and the energetic systems in our bodies as well into all of this. So once we have identified root cause, we can then move on to releasing it. Now, this is a process that I love to use. It brings in multiple modalities. So come open-minded and expected to feel anything. Expect just come with no expectations and with an intention to release what is not serving you. And then we are going to work on desensitizing any emotional challenges that are stuck to that belief. And then we are going to reprogram, which is just so powerful. So I really hope to see you at one of the 5 Becoming Limitless workshops throughout September. All of the details are in the show notes below. I'm really excited for this. I cannot wait to deliver this experience and see what becomes possible for you when you decide to become limitless. So let's now dive into this episode as I introduce you to my beautiful friend and our amazing guest, or my beautiful friend who is our amazing guest, Annelise Worn. Annelise Worn works with women all around the world to simplify and amplify their digital businesses. Professionally, she is a business strategist, a speaker, and a marketing agency CEO. And personally, Annelise is a traveling homeschooling mum of 4 alongside her husband. She also shares her insight as the host of the podcast with Annelise Worn, and it is so amazing, that podcast. I really recommend that you go and you look it up as soon as this episode is over. We are going to dive in. You are going to hear from Annelise so much wisdom in this conversation. Particularly, we are going to be diving into her 7-system framework and 2 keys, well-being being one of them, but I'm going to leave the other one as a surprise. 2 keys to this framework that is really, really going to change the way that you show up for your business and is going to change your business outcomes. So let's do it.
You're listening to Alive and Thriving with Jessica Reed, the podcast that's all about empowering you to achieve optimal wellness and success through self-care, holistic practices, and raw conversations. Jessica and her expert guests are here to share powerful insights and strategies to help you overcome stress and anxiety, take charge of your life, and thrive in life and in business. Grab a cuppa and let's dive in.
Annelise, welcome, my beautiful friend, to Alive and Thriving. This is going to be such an amazing conversation. I'm so happy to have you here today. Welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's my pleasure. I've actually been wanting to chat to you for a really, really long time. So I'm so glad that we've finally been able to tee this up. Now, I have introduced you in the introduction to listeners, but can you give us a little bit more depth? Tell me a little bit more about you and your business and all the things. Tell us a bit more about you.
Sure. So yes, my name is Annelise and I have a marketing agency and I am a business coach, I guess is the simplest way to say it. I love doing strategy. It's what I do now in the agency. It's what I do with the women that I coach. And the most of my clients now are service providers building their own agencies. So I've done that twice now successfully. So I've got a pretty good model that works. About 18 months ago, we made a really big change in the whole structure of the business. And now my husband and myself, we are homeschooling and have the business and planning to travel. So that is kind of the context of, I guess, of everything that we're doing. That balance is really important to me, and the business is the thing that is the vehicle to, I just think that life is too short to not love every minute of it. And for us, like juggling and moving things and experimenting and playing alongside, I've got 4 children. I forgot to mention that part.
Yeah, I think I said that in the intro.
Alongside
let's just clarify. Annelise is homeschooling 4 children.
Yes. Well, 3 and a 2-year-old, but yes. So yes, the business and the structure of how we live life is kind of fluid and flexible. We like to play and make sure that it fits. Let's leave it there for now. Let's keep going. We'll dive in as we dive in. But
absolutely.
That's
I have really loved. So I had the pleasure of meeting Annelise at the beginning of last year, and we were in a mastermind together last year. And I have absolutely loved watching you last year, and I'm sure before that, but I didn't know you then, make absolute boss moves with such power and intention to be able to create and live the life that you want to be living, that your family wants to be living. It's not just about you, living your best life. It's so holistic for your children, for your husband. And you have worked so hard to structure your business in a way that now supports that freedom and that flexibility. What do your days look like when you have such a freedom-filled model and you're homeschooling?
So now,
4 children.
I know.
I don't know how many times I'll say that this episode.
Well, I'll just put it out. I'm not doing this myself, right? So actually, we were talking off camera. My husband has been helping my grandparents renovate their bathroom for the last month. And so I have been doing it by myself for the last month, and it's not balanced and it's not fun. So this is, a short time period. He'll be back this weekend. Praise the Lord. But what it normally looks like is that my husband and I both work in the business part-time. And so I get a couple of days to work, do my thing. I'm not on at all. I don't do cooking. I don't do cleaning. Like, I just get to be in the business and, and have that time. And then I swap and I homeschool 3 days a week, the kids. And then the weekends we have to play. But so finally, I feel like this year we've experimented enough over the last, little while, 18 months with homeschooling, that we finally landed on what works for our family in this stage of familyhood. But it took so much, it took experimenting. And when I met you originally, I was full-time in the business and my husband was full-time dad, and that was our only income, right? So I couldn't just ditch the agency or ditch, I was also I had 2 agencies actually at the time and a bit of coaching. So I couldn't just, kill one of them and start, just and live the life. Like, it was definitely a transition process where I had to like drop down gears on one and drop up gears on the other. And you play with things and you're like, oh, hang on, that actually doesn't work. Or I thought I wanted this and that doesn't work. And so there's no like allowing that and not making it wrong. And figuring out that what actually works for you, because I think sometimes we can really get caught up in what looks good or what society kind of says that we should want, or what we've experienced, or what we think that we need to want or go after, or whatever, in terms of like, I need a bigger business, or I need but
all the I shoulds. It's that whole, not staying in your own lane and watching other people thinking, okay, well, they got to this. I don't know anything about their journey, but this is what I see them doing. So this is what I should be doing. And it's those I shoulds as well, and I love that you really pointed out that it has been an experiment. And so I guess I would love for anybody listening who is working in their businesses and on their businesses with that goal in mind, whatever freedom-filled business means to you, whether it means being able to travel, whether it means being able to homeschool, whether it just means being able to be present at pick up and drop off and work between school hours, or whether it means that you work 2 days a week, and whatever that means for you, whatever you're working towards. Just because you haven't figured out that balance yet does not mean that you're not going to. Just keep trying, be prepared to keep trying and keep experimenting until you find what actually is going to stick for you and your family. I love that.
And allow that to change too, because I think sometimes we can hold on to an old dream and be like, no, but I wanted this $1 million business and I wanted to live in the city, and or like whatever it is. And then like I thought I wanted a really big $1 million agency. And for me, I was growing that. And then I was like, hang on, this is not like, with this team this big and all of that, I was like, this is not actually fun. And then that, I think your ego can get in the way too, of going like, oh, downsizing is a step backwards. And so, yes, actually listen, which I think is so important about the work that you do, is that you can really help people to get clear on what's true for them, and without that ego, without the noise, with all of that, and help them to get really present, because that really has to be the first step. Like that healing and knowing what you want really has to be the first step, because you can't build on it if you can't, like, if the foundation is not solid, you can't build anything that's going to last.
Yeah, no, that's so true. That's so true. And I love that you really reiterated as well, giving permission for your goals or your dreams to change and to shift and to, I guess, grow and turn into something that really evolves with you as a person. And sometimes we do get really attached to that. Well, this was my goal, so this is what I'm working towards, or I worked so hard to get to this goal, but now I want to pivot. And, that's something that was a big lesson for me, a huge lesson for me. And actually learning more about my human design helped me to become really understanding and accepting for myself. So in my human design, I have the third line in my profile. And that means that I am literally here designed to experiment things to see if they are for me and then decide. And so I would decide, oh, I want to put out this membership, or I want to do this, whatever, or maybe this is my business idea before I, even started something years and years and years ago. Um, and then when I would try it and I didn't feel like it aligned with me so much, or, you might notice this with people who maybe think they have to stay committed to employees or to anything, that, then you want to go and shift and there's almost a shame about it. And I had a story that, oh, if I keep changing my mind, people are going to think that I'm flaky. Here I am working on this one thing, and now I'm going to be working on something else. And now I'm going to actually, no, I don't like this. I started building an app a couple of months ago, got halfway, or a bit more than halfway through, almost ready to launch, and realized that I really didn't like the developer program that we were using. And I said to my VA, I was like, I'm so sorry. We have done so much work on this, but but if I hadn't have tried it, so I waited 12 months for the right timing to try that app. If I hadn't actually tried it and then had that alignment to be able to say, actually, this isn't what's going to work for us right now. So being able to pivot, being able to change. But for me, I let go of the shame of that and the stories around being flaky, or any of those sorts of stories around not being allowed to change my mind. When I understood that experimentation is literally a part of who I am. And so how fun now. How fun. I get to try all these new things.
It's really fun. It's really fun. And I think we don't talk about this enough, right? Because like allowing that experimentation, I think there's a difference between that and kind of being consistent and persistent towards the thing that you want.
Yeah.
Because one is like going, actually, I'm climbing the wrong mountain, versus the other one, which is like, oh, this is hard, so I'm going to stop, or like, I can't be bothered. Like they're different. It's actually different, but we kind of put it in the same bucket. But I experimented. So I'm 6 years into business now. And this year, I finally feel like I've got it right. Right. So 6 years of playing and trying things. And yeah, you could totally make that wrong and go, could I have grown faster? Yes. But would I have built the wrong thing? Yes. Would I have been happy? Probably not. So yeah, allow that playing time. And I think we can talk about this in so many different areas. Some people say, you have to pick a niche immediately and you need to, do this, like again, needs and shoulds. But if you have never run a business before, how do you know exactly the role that you want to play within it? How do you know the exact type of person that you want to do? How do you know what conversations you can have hundreds of thousands of times?
Yeah, I agree.
Because you don't know until you've done it. And like you were saying, we grow and we evolve. So then why would we want the same thing? Like, I think that's just actually, it doesn't make sense. So yes. Yeah. You're having fun and playing.
And you see it in so many contexts of people's life as well. Like maybe this is a little off topic, but you see people, I see people feeling stuck and feeling committed to something, maybe relationships, jobs, friendships, old routines, old morning routines, old nighttime routines, old things that are just not serving them anymore, because the brain also has this resistance to change because it's not what it's safe and knows, and therefore it's scary and often causes quite a physical response for people as well. But what I find is so much worse, whether this be in your business or whether it be in life, is that when you're living in that misalignment, that feels way worse, way worse than any scary decisions that you need to make about making change. How did you work through? I want to chat about happiness and well-being in a minute, because that was something really important that you brought up. But how did you work through? So last year you said, you had these two agencies, and this is where primary income was coming from. So you knew this wasn't, you had people relying on you for wages and pay and things as well. How did you work through, I guess, the emotions and all of the decisions, all of the boss decisions? This is something I used to sit across the Zoom room and in our retreats across the table and just look at you, and I would listen to you speak, and I was like, she is just such a boss. Like, she makes the decisions, she knows what she's got to do, and I was so envious of that. How did you move through that, if you don't mind me asking, internally? How do you navigate having to make such big decisions, like closing
Isn't it
down your
so funny?
businesses, letting go of
Isn't it
staff?
so funny?
Oh my God.
It's so funny when you hear other people's reflections of you. You know, you're like, I was terrified. I did not feel like a boss babe. Like, so funny. But thank you for that reflection. Oh my gosh. Um, I think, like you were saying, that misalignment feels so wrong, and it just felt so like I knew that something had to shift, because I was in a process of transitioning from. I started my business originally because I was moving from the city where I had a full-time, I had a job, a great job managing a training company, a national training company for a big brand that a lot of people know. And I was moving 2 hours away, and I requested flexi time and they declined. And I was moving to a regional town, which now you can find good jobs here because, but back then you could not. So I had to start my business, because otherwise no way could I spend the time I wanted to with my kids and earn what I wanted to earn. Like, it just wasn't a possibility. And so that's where I started. And I got to a point with 2 agencies and, coaching and all of this, where I was like, I'm so far from what I wanted, because in the sight of building this thing. Like, yes, I thought, like, it's for a short time, and sometimes, head down, bum up, and, you sacrifice for the goal, totally fine. But I had created this like prison for myself, because I'd hired the wrong people. Like, I just made the wrong business decision. I'd said yes too much. I hadn't charged enough. Like, I'd created this prison, like this. I was drowning in all of the client work because the team that I had couldn't support me in the way I needed, which is not their fault. It's my fault. I was not the CEO. Like, I had to learn, I was building the plane on the way down, right?
Yeah.
I'm learning as we go. And so
The only
I
way.
knew
the only way to
seriously,
learn,
and
right?
that's seriously, and again, that's fine. Like, not making it wrong, taking that radical responsibility. And I think that's a really big piece of kind of the answer of what you're saying, of realizing I'm the CEO. I created this. I make the decisions. I go first. Like, I'm the leader. So I'm the one with the machete, like, going through the jungle. I'm the one who gets hit in the head with the branches. I'm the one that, like, steps in the mud, like all of the things, because I'm going first. Like, and then knowing that I couldn't keep going the way I was going, because there was too much. I had too much responsibility. I didn't have the right support. I'd said yes to the wrong things.
Yeah.
And so then just making small steps to changing it, and knowing that I couldn't keep going how I was going, because it was totally against my values. I was saying, that all of these other things, my well-being and my kids and my family and, travel and stuff, were all my values, but I wasn't spending any time or money on those things. So if my calendar wasn't reflecting it and my bank account's not reflecting it, then are they really priorities? Actually, no. And again, being able to look at things from that kind of, 10,000 foot view, and not put shame and guilt and all of that and sit in that place, but just go, no, this is what you've created, but you don't have to stay there.
Yeah.
And this is how you kind of get out of it. And being, again, going, well, no, I'm leading, so I'm going to have the difficult conversations. Like, I'm going to, and it's just breaking it down. And so I ended up noticing, looking at the clients that I had, deciding which clients I didn't want anymore, and that were stressing me out, that every time a WhatsApp message came through, my heart would like thump, and I'd be stressed, like, what's broken, or like, what do they want, and going, like, which is really draining me, and which are bringing me joy and are appreciative, and all of those things. and then changing my pricing to like having conversations with them to negotiate different packages in line with, again, like what was actually going to work for me, getting rid of team that were not on board with the level of excellence that I wanted to provide. Like it's just lots of little steps, difficult conversations, which I think, again, we can really shy away from, but they're actually not going to kill us, right? Yeah, it's going to be a hard conversation, but people follow your confidence. And so if you lead with confidence and go like, this is the decision, then people will respect that and fall in line with it, right? Like and that sounds probably the wrong way to say it, but for example, with the negotiating pricing, right? You just say like, actually, if we're going to be able to provide this level of service, you think about how you're going to frame it and talk about the benefits of both things and make it a win-win. Like you're actually just two human beings, right? Sometimes we can make it a bit too like, scary, but you're two human beings. And if you care about your clients and you're providing a valuable service, then they're going to appreciate that. They're going to want to keep you. They're going to, you can have that conversation as two people that actually both want the same thing, which is that business that you're working in my case, the business that you're both, working on to succeed and thrive. And so you can have those conversations. And so I guess that's how, just realizing that the buck stopped with me, that I was the one who created it. So I was the one who had to change it, and getting really, really crystal clear on what I did want, and redesigning it. And again, not making any of it wrong, knowing that it's all like, I couldn't have made the right decisions without making the wrong ones, because you kind of don't know.
Yeah.
Until you open the door, you don't know if what's in the room is for you, right? If you don't want to go there. So then
absolutely.
Again, yeah.
Oh, I'm hearing so much gold in everything that you just said. First of all, if I'm summarizing in my words in my head, permission, we've already talked about permission to change your mind on something, permission to move towards a different dream, permission to take radical responsibility for making decisions that no longer align with what you actually want to be doing, permission to put your well-being first, when you are making your business decisions. Oh, and there was some more. I should have written them down because they'll come to me and I'll probably have a sacral response and jump in and interrupt you or something, but they'll come to me. But how much gold in there is that permission to put up your prices and negotiate and to have human to human conversations, permission to use your voice and actually declare what's actually going to work for you and build your business in a way that is going to work for you, not just in the way that you think it should be done just because you've always done it that way. And I love, and permission to not look at it all as a failure if you do have, if you've learned lessons, or if you've made what you perceive as mistakes, permission to actually be able to look at those. And quite often when I work with clients and we've identified a belief that's not serving them, for example, we will have a little bit of a chat about why that belief could have been serving them. And quite often, that conversation straight away is like, oh, well, it's done no good for me, but when we actually get down to, in this case, some sort of level of protection or something that they've adapted, when they were trying to find their way around the world, it's similar in terms of what we view as mistakes. Because if you can take those and you can say, okay, well, this is just literally a pivot in my journey, rather than I made all of these big mistakes and now I've, and sometimes for some people that's enough to end their business journey. Like that for me, I had a business in 2013 and 14, and the mistakes that I perceived that I made back then were enough for me to carry so much shame that I didn't carry on, So I guess, just if anyone else is listening and you're thinking, well, I have done all these things wrong. Well, you haven't. What have you gotten out of them? What are you never going to do again from those things? That's your lesson.
Yeah.
And where are you now? And just know that everything is such an integral part of your journey as a human being, as a business owner, on your life's journey. I think it's so important. Yeah. You said something else really, really important, and it was much earlier, and I'm going to circle right back to it. You said you asked yourself the question, well, am I happy? And, when we are not feeling happy with our businesses, within our lives, but we're talking about business here really specifically, it is going to have a direct impact on your well-being. And so I love this conversation that we're about to enter into now, because I do not see well-being as being separate to business. And my listeners know that, because I talk about a regulated nervous system and healthy choices and stress management continually as a business strategy. Annelise, this is something else that I know that you are really, really passionate about. So much so that you actually include it in your seven-figure, 7-step framework. Is that, can you
Sorry, it's
explain
a
it? You
confusing
explain
name.
it.
All right, I will.
You go.
I will dive into that. But first, I just want to kind of just say something else that occurred to me when you were talking. I think what I really realized is that I was people pleasing, and I hadn't had that slap in the face. Where I was like, oh, okay. Everything I'm doing is I'm doing it for their benefit and sacrificing myself. And like, what does that mean? And unpacking all of that, which it was such a big help in the thinking about like, oh, okay. I just want like people to like me. I just want other people to be happy. And I really, if you'd asked me, I'm like, I don't care what people think. But then I was like, everything I'm doing is like people pleasing behavior. So, oh, interesting. Okay, good. Anyway, so yes, that was a big learning.
So that deep
And
dive awareness into you and the belief
totally,
systems and things that you were operating on was
yeah.
really, really pivotal for you to be able to then go and make those decisions that you needed to make.
Yes, because I had previously, years before, in fact, and what I coached my clients on was my 7-system CEO framework. And this is how I taught people to run their businesses in the midst of me like getting myself to nearly burnout, right? So I already had the 7 system. I realized that I was just people pleasing and that I was sacrificing myself on a daily basis and not aligning with my own kind of whole framework that I built everything on. It's like,
We've all been there though. I think we
thanks
need
for the
that
wake up
slap in
call.
the face to really reach our next
Totally.
level, because you wouldn't be offering that
Yeah.
framework if you didn't truly core believe in it. But you
Yeah.
still, I believe for everybody, whatever you believe your core frameworks are, you do need that revolution to be like, well, am I actually really leading by example in this? And then you reach this whole new level when you really do. Sorry, keep
Yeah.
going.
And you're never ever going to get things right all the time. So you're saying I could do something wrong. Yeah, you're going to do things wrong, and you're going to try things that fail, and you're going to skin your knees, and you're going to make mistakes, and you're going to learn. You're going to learn, and it's not actually a failure, like a full stop, unless you let it be. Like for you with that old business, you'd let it be, and that's fine too. Again, like decision, learning, like everything you then took with you, whether into whatever you're doing in life. And so no matter what way you slice or dice it, there is no one that is perfect on the planet that is not going to make this mistake. So just don't even think
I
that
haven't
that's
met
an
a perfect
option.
person yet. No, I haven't met a perfect person yet.
It's just actually not an option. Like even like, the most successful people on the planet will say that their success is because they're standing on a mountain of failure. Like, so just like put that out of your head. You're going to get it wrong, and that's okay. We're human.
Absolutely. Yes.
So my 7-system framework, the first 5 systems are the traditional business systems that every business needs to run. So we need marketing, we need sales, we need service delivery, we need people, and we need like the compliance, finance, legal side. So they're the 5. But what I had learned early on was that we need well-being and impact. And so they're the 7. And so for me, we'll dive into well-being in a second. The truth is I built my business to stay home with my family, right? And then my husband was able to come home from work about a year or 2 into that. And so I was the sole income earner pretty early in the business journey. And then once you can kind of feed your family, right, and you've got what you need, for me, I needed a bigger reason to keep on growing, because I was like, I didn't want 14 Prada bags or a Lamborghini or a private jet or, like, and again, nothing against any of those things. If you want them and they light you up, amazing, go for it. But for me, that wasn't enough of a why. And so for me, I really needed, and I believe this truly, that if you're called to business, that's part of your purpose for being on the planet. And for me, that is impact driven. And we do that in a few ways in our business, in the work that we do actually with clients, like the actual transformational work of helping people grow their businesses. That's an impact. It's impacting their families and, their communities and so on. We also give a portion of profit to causes that I care about. Like, there's so many different ways you can do it. And again, no right or wrong, but for me, that deeper core why and response for that growth was really important in the long-term sustainability.
Yeah.
And I think that every business kind of needs that deeper why to get up every day, because you are going to make mistakes and fall and it's going to hurt. And if you don't have a big enough impact driven why, you're probably not going to keep going. Like, you're probably just not. And so that's why that's the seventh system. But well-being is something that I don't know if it's primarily women. Actually, it's probably not. Like, we just, when we have a business that we love, a lot of us can just keep pouring into it, because our businesses, and I recently did a podcast episode about this, our businesses are monsters, right? They're like insatiable. They're insatiable, time and money hungry monsters. Like, they will not say no to you doing more work. They will not say no to more money. Like, you can never give it enough time and money. Like, you can never be like, oh yeah, I'm done. There's nothing more that I could do. Like, you just are never going to get to that point. They're insatiable. And if you love it and you're impact driven, right, then you can just work and work and work. Like, and because it doesn't feel like work a lot of the time, or even if it does, maybe we feel obligated, again, self included, people pleasing, like, all of that. And so the well-being piece is about actually getting realistic about what's sustainable and putting in boundaries and realizing why we started our businesses, which is probably not to work 18 hours a day. And, and also, if we are working 18 hours a day, or whatever the case is, if we're not looking after ourselves how we need to be looking after ourselves, we're actually not going to get the business performance that we want, because we're not going to be performing at our highest level if we're not looking after ourselves. And so what I know to be true is that the better that we look after ourselves, the better we show up in our businesses, the better results we get our clients. Like, it's actually it's actually the most important thing. And so now I teach clients to put their well-being on their calendar first. It is the primary business strategy, because everything springs from that.
Yeah.
Everything.
Yeah, I completely agree. Even, even if you are looking at your business as a separate entity and you're not working your 18 hours a day and all of those, things, you still need to be able to show up in a way where you can think creatively, where you can think strategically, where you can think clearly. And if you are not prioritizing your well-being, and your logical brain is out the window because you're operating from illness, you're operating from stress, you're operating from overwhelm, from anxiety, from emotion.
Totally.
If that's how you're turning up to run your business, and that's going to have a direct impact on your outcomes, your client outcomes, your business outcomes. So you are the vehicle, right? No, you are the driver for the vehicle. Am I getting this right? You are the you need to be able to show up to implement any kind of strategy, and you can't show up if you're not looking after yourself. So how do you prioritize? And I just got really passionate about that, because I just agree with what you're saying so much. And I'm like, preach. It is so important. How do you prioritize? Because for a lot of people, this is a really nice idea. I meet so many people who are like, oh yeah, self-care. It's a what do you call it? Like not a hype word. What do they call it?
I know what you mean.
You see it a lot.
It's trendy.
It's trendy.
Just go have the bubble bath, go and do the things.
Yeah, exactly. And people can produce a lot of content on self-care because it's a really easy topic to produce a quick Canva graphic on, on having a meditation or breathing or something. But when it really comes down to prioritizing self-care as a strategic strategy for your well-being, for your business, and for your life, what does that look like for you? How do you prioritize your well-being? Because when I was saying before, and I caught myself off track, for a lot of people, it is a good idea. And it's and hypothetically, it would be great for them, and they might even commit to it for a week or two, and then life gets in the way, so it doesn't stay priority, even though they want it to be priority. So how do you fit it into your day and your life, and what does well-being in your business look like for you?
It looks different now to what it has looked like in the past. And I get it, right? I've got 4 children. Like I get it. It's not always perfect. And yes, you're going to have kids waking up in the middle of the night sometimes, or have newborns, and 8 hours sleep sounds like, this dream that's never going to happen again. Like I get it, but we can all find small ways to have that downtime when we recognize what is actually going to fill us up.
Yeah.
Like there is no excuse for not eating healthy food. Like there's actually not. You're going to eat. So we get to choose. Like it doesn't have to be more expensive than crappy food. It doesn't have to take longer to cook than crappy food. Like there is, again, for children, like convenience is the bomb. There are ways that you can make delicious meals that you can get on the table in 30 minutes. Like it can be done. If you really need me to give you some ideas, like DM me, more than happy to share like the go-tos.
That could be a whole new side hustle for you.
Maybe. Oh yeah.
Annelise's how to feed 4 children in under 30 minutes.
I'll leave that to Vanya. I'll leave that to VJ Cooks, everyone. Shout out to Vanya. But yes, so for example, you can do that. You can drink 8 glasses of water a day. Like set an alarm if you have to. Like you can. It's kind of like those core 4, right?
Yeah.
You can move your body. There is no reason why we cannot move our bodies. And that doesn't mean you have to take an hour out to go to the gym and it takes you half an hour to drive there. Like you don't have to do that. You can go for a walk with the kids. You can push them on the swing. You can squat while you're doing your laundry. Like there are
I can't raise in the shower.
Totally. You can move your body for 20 minutes a day and get that. Like it's like, what's the kind of the lowest thing you can do? If you've got a baby, like you can do push-ups with the baby. You just have to move, right? Because our bodies are made to move. We need it. We actually need it, and it energizes us. We think that the exercise depletes us, but actually it energizes us. Like it's scientifically proven, it energizes us. I've got a diploma in fitness, which was related to my actual job. And so I don't do that anymore. But again, if you need ideas, you can DM me. But I promise you, there are ways. I used to have clients, because I did work in a gym for 6 months, more than a decade ago, who would lunge from the washing machine to the clothesline outside to hang up one piece of washing, lunge back. I was like, it would be quicker doing a workout, but okay.
Like, but they're moving their body in a way that feels good for them. Yeah. In their minds, they fit it into their busy schedule.
Exactly. And that, they were happy. They could supervise the kids. Like, again, get creative. You're a business owner. You are creative. So get it. So the sleep, if you can, like I get this one, right? I've had time periods where I've slept like 3 hours a night. Right now, my kids are finally at a stage where they sleep like through the night. And so that's behind me. Thank goodness. But
never again.
Yeah, seriously, never again. Shut. No, done. Well, until they're sick, right? And then that goes out the window.
That's right. And then you're up all night again. Yep.
Yeah, again. But if you're really honest with yourself, how much time do you spend scrolling before you go to bed? How much time do you, watch TV, watch another season, like another episode before you go to sleep? Like, if we're really honest, there are things that are not getting us closer towards the life that we want to be living that we have in our lives and that we can cut out, whether that's, like shows that are not serving us. Like if that's, there's so many different things. Maybe that's people, maybe that's activities that you've said yes to that, and again, not getting you closer to living the life that you want to. Maybe you're people pleasing, maybe you're, there are probably things, if you look at your schedule and you actually look at what you're doing, that are not getting you closer, because every decision that you make is either getting you closer to where you want to be or further away. And I'm talking holistically in your life, right? To like a better relationship with your spouse, to a better, healthier body, to, the business that you want to have. In every area of our lives, everything is moving us closer to that vision of what we want or further away.
Yeah.
And again, looking with no shame, no guilt, no nothing, just looking at like, how do I actually spend my time and my money?
Yeah.
And are those
Getting
things
curious.
moving me closer? Yeah, getting really curious.
Yeah.
Because the only one that loses if you don't is you, and the only one that benefits is, and you can benefit from that. And so when you're ready to do the work, you'll do the work, right? Or you'll look at it, and that's fine. There's no timeline except for yours.
Something that just kept screaming in my head while I'm sorry to cut you off there, but something was just screaming in my head. And, just before we were saying, obviously you are the vehicle to implement your business into this world, but without your well-being, you just don't have a life. Like, to go really, really dramatically, your health and your well-being is everything.
It's everything.
And so, yes, essential business strategy, essential life strategy.
It is. And it's the analogy of the $1 million racehorse, which I mention all the time, and it's not my analogy. And I think it was Joe Polish who said it, but I'm happy to be corrected. Please come at me with like the proper recommendation, the proper, what's it called? Not recommendation. Whoever, the right person. Yes, recognition. Because I don't want to claim this as my own.
I chose to record a podcast on a day that neither of us can speak. Like, our brains are just like, what's that word?
What's the word? It's fine. It's fine. It's totally fine. But the analogy is, right, if you look at these racehorses and look at how they're treated, right? So these racehorses are expected to perform, because they want to win. They know that to perform at their best, they need to be well fed, they need great nutrition, they need to be rested, they need to be well trained, right? And so they've given the best of everything in terms of their diet, their lifestyle, their rest, all of that. And that's because those things looked after equal great results. Can you imagine if that horse was just given coffee, like caffeine and wine and pasta, and then expected to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning, work all day, run around after the kids and doing whatever you're doing and working,
energy before a race.
Working. Seriously, do you think that the horse would perform well? No, but we somehow think that we can perform off those conditions. And it's just absurd when you hear it like that. You're like, oh yeah, that's right. Okay. And that doesn't mean don't go and enjoy, a coffee or a glass of wine or a piece of cake. Like, great. But again, what are you choosing? And what is going to get the best out of you? How are you going to show up as the best CEO for that strategy meeting? How are you going to show up the best for your clients and your team and your spouse and your friends and your children? Like, you want to be the best in every situation. And so it's really clear that we know what we need to do, and it's going to look different for every person. And no, you're not going to get it right all the time, and life's going to happen. And all of that's fine. That's part of the journey. But if we don't set some goals around it and know the foundational behavior that is actually going to get us there, then we're actually just never going to get there. So yes.
What sort of changes? So when your clients are coming into you, the beginning of your programs or the beginning of working with you, and then they start implementing the 7-step framework, but more specifically 6 and 7, impact and well-being, what sort of changes are you seeing? What sort of results are you seeing from your clients either within how they feel within themselves, what impact it's having on their business, what changes are possible when well-being and impact can actually become a strategic focus for your business plan?
Yeah, I think it's totally got to do with energy, and it's got to do with fulfillment, right? Because when we're talking about well-being, yes, we're talking about like the physical piece because that's kind of the first step.
Mm-hmm.
But then thinking more broadly and thinking like, am I working with the clients that are actually lighting me up? Like, what is my passion? What results do I actually, am I getting results, and what's fulfilling me? Like, am I growing as a person? Am I getting that professional development? Am I, is my environment around me calm, and like, is it making me feel good? All of these things come into it. Like, am I having fun in life? I realized I wasn't playing. I had no, like, I was not playing. I was always just on. I was either like mom or CEO, and there was no, I've got 4 kids. I should be playing a lot. And I like, but that had just slipped out
Yeah.
because I was just like, okay, I was just on all the time. And so really looking at my list, I've got like a well-being model, which with 3 concentric circles. So it's cognitive well-being, professional, and physical.
Yeah.
And just looking at all of those things, my environment, like, am I learning? Am I having fun? Do I have white space? Like all of that stuff.
Yeah.
But it comes down to energy and fulfillment. And what are those things for you? Because what lights me up and makes me happy and energizes me is maybe different to what energizes you. And that's great. And so figuring out what those things are, and again, allowing that to change. Like you were talking about, morning routines, like people sticking to them. I realized a couple of months ago that I was still telling myself I had this goal of running 10 kilometers because I used to be a runner.
Yeah.
And I was like, I can't think of anything worse right now, actually. But like for 3 months, I was like, you've got to go for a run this weekend. You've got to go for a run. And then I was like, I don't want to go for a run. And I'm going to the gym 6 days a week, right? Doing different things and Pilates and swimming. But I was still telling myself, I have to go for a run this week. I was like, I don't want to. Like, actually, I'm like, oh, that's okay. But like, it took me a long time to be all right with letting go of that and being like, oh, this is not me giving up. This is me just changing my mind. Okay, that's okay.
That's okay. So if people are seeing better outcomes in their business, and then I'm also hearing you say though that they are seeing or experiencing a more happy and fulfilled life holistically, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, all the things for them holistically by actually focusing on well-being and impact as a business strategy.
You're going to make more money, right? You just are, because you're going to make better decisions.
And because you feel good and your nervous system's aligned and regulated and you feel good.
Yeah.
Oh,
like,
I love that.
Like, so for me, after the changes, I made the changes that I wanted to make. So again, that was a transition process. I had halved my work hours and doubled my profit. Literally. I looked at the numbers. I was like, that's really convenient, Annelise. Like, that sounds like you've made it. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's a little bit too like even. But I was like, oh, I actually have. Like, and so
I believe
just
it.
one. And so that's just one example because you make decisions from a different place. And so, and you just enjoy life more, which is kind of the whole bloody point, right? Like, who cares how much money we're making?
We forget that, don't we?
If we're not,
forget that.
If we're not feeling healthy, if we're not healthy and we're not enjoying life, like, what's the point of making money? What's actually, what's the point? So those things come first. And when you're coming from that place and you have that energy about you, you attract that kind of energy. And so I know that you talk a lot about that.
But it's so true. I have embraced this year. I've really embraced giving myself permission to slow down, to speed up. I work less and I do less. And when I say I do less, I learned to outsource. I learned to work with my strengths. I also learned what I was doing because I thought I should be doing it and what I didn't need to actually be doing. So I work less. I feel better. I feel so much more aligned and I do make more money. So I do, the less I do, this has been my mantra all year, the less I do, the more I make, and not in some conceited way. I love my job. I love working with people. But when I was stuck in all the shoulds and all of the things that were dragging me down and wasting so much of my time, I wasn't able to work with clients in the capacity that I wanted to be. And I was stressed, and it was overwhelming me, and it worried me. And then I just let go of so many things. Like, hello, this is my business. This is my business and my journey. I don't have to do it that way if I don't want to do it that way. And, you know, I intentionally now, even if I don't get to go for a walk or something before because I have an early client, then I always intentionally every single day before I open up anything will pause and breathe and just regulate myself and just bring myself. And I spend 5 minutes slowing down. 5 minutes slowing down, and it means that I am functioning from a logical space, from a clear space, from a space that's let go of any. I've got lots of energy practices, so a space that's let go of anything that's not mine that I'm potentially bringing into my business and my day. And it's I work less and I make more.
Yeah.
There's something to it.
There is. And honestly, look at your calendar and time block it out and put your well-being stuff on there first. So what is that? Like for me, that's moving my body every day. Like I go to the gym 5-6 days a week, or I, go to do a sauna or something. Like I get a massage every month. I've got date night, like the things that are filling my cup. Those things are on the calendar first, and all the work stuff goes around it, because otherwise, like it may as well not be there, because I'm not going to show up properly. And yes, there's the days where it all goes to crap, or the days when I've got 6 a.m. meetings or whatever. That's fine. Most of the time it's there and it works. And so perfection is not the goal, but prioritize you. Make the decision to say, no, like I want to show up well. So this is what I have to do to make that happen. This is the best I can do. Get support if you need to, like get support. I can do what I do because I have a wonderful husband. Get, a friend, get something, pay for someone if you can, or just, do a trade with a friend so that you get to go for that 1 hour walk, or just take the kids with you. Like just get creative. We're women. We're so creative.
We can. Oh my goodness. So everyone is going to go off right now, and they're going to rearrange the way that they look at their schedules, and they're going to put in their calendar, time block out the things that are important for their well-being. And then go and work out when they're going to do all the rest of the stuff.
And report back and let
Annelise
us know.
wants to hear from you on Instagram, and so do I. We want to know. Yes. So Annelise, how can people work with you? Tell us a little bit more about what you're offering. How can people work with you? Where can we find you?
So, Instagram's the best place. Come and chat with me there. It's just at Annelise Worn. You'll have to probably click a link or something because it's weird to spell.
All good. Go to the show notes and
yes, show notes are, a gem. So if you're a service provider and wanting to build an agency, chat to me about that. I have a mastermind for service providers building agencies. Otherwise, I work with women typically for a 3-month period, and we develop a 12-month strategy, holistic business strategy across the 7 systems. And we work together for 3 months as you kind of get that off the ground. So that's. And
is that one-on-one or is that small group?
It's one-on-one.
Amazing.
One-on-one. Yep.
Amazing.
But always just happy for a chat. Come and say hi. There's also, I offer a 15-minute strategy call if you just are a bit stuck and don't know where to get started. That's always a fun place.
Amazing. And do you have any resources or anything that you want to share?
If you would like the 7 system guide with some questions for each of the systems, you can go to my website. It's anneliseworn.com/7, the number 7 systems. So /7 systems. Yep. You can link that.
I'll link it.
You can hop on Instagram. It'll be in the link in bio. So that will link you into my world.
Amazing. Oh, Annelise, I knew I was going to love this chat, and I did, and I could honestly keep going.
I know we've
long, but it is middle school pickup time, so I better go.
Thank you for having me. Thank you so much for listening, everybody.
Thank you.
Wow, what a journey it's been today. We are so grateful for each and every one of you who tuned in to Alive and Thriving. If you enjoyed this episode and want to help us keep growing, please consider subscribing and leaving a review on your favourite platform. It's a simple but powerful way to support a small business like ours to continue to make an impact.